class number 26. All right, everybody.
Guess
Welcome.
what?
What?
I got my first Kiddush cup.
Yay. Mazel tov.
I know.
So we have, first of all, this week we have Lag BaOmer, right, which will be this Wednesday night, Thursday. It's the 33rd day of the Omer, at which point in time we'll be able to shave a little bit and look okay. 30. I could almost make a ponytail out of my hair, like it's. Thank God, God has kept it a little warm, so at least I could even manage while it goes through. Okay, so now
When can we shave?
we shave Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday day. The Thursday day you can shave, right? So it's been we're counting up to the 49 days up to Shavuot, which is the 50th day, which we received the Torah. So Shavuot is actually in a couple of weeks, and so we now have and so what happened was Rabbi Akiva's students, who was a great sage leader of the generation, had 24,000 students that died in these 33 days. They stopped dying on Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer, which is why we go ahead and that's when we begin to be able to go ahead and to shave and to listen to music. Okay. And actually, this weekend I will not be at home. Batra will be here. I will not be. I'll be celebrating with the Winstons at their wedding up in New York. Okay, so may we share only simchas. That's our.
So you're not going to be here Friday or Saturday?
Correct.
Good. I won't come to your house.
You're welcome to come. I won't be there.
I come to your house, you're not there.
Right. Remember, right, and we're missing the Feigenbaum. Rabbi Feigenbaum's son's bar mitzvah, but the good news is that actually, I think the day he became bar mitzvah was last Shabbos morning. So he got called up to the Torah, and so I was there for the bar mitzvah, so I'm okay. So God was kind. He squeezed me in and gave me the being there for the bar mitzvah. Okay, so
Before we start, can we raise the little bit?
what? Oh, you.
There.
72.
There you go.
You know, I said one class of mine they were not so happy with my temperature control, so they bought a fan that could just blow on me. So therefore, you can make it a little warmer and it'd still be okay. See, the problem is it's like if I overheat, then like class shuts down. You know, like the engine just and so kind of they bought a fan kind of just blowing me, and that way then being able to be okay. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you do the Kiddush cup on Saturday,
Yeah.
can that grapefruit be diluted with water or?
Also, very good, interesting. You can dilute the grape juice, but I don't know. There's a certain amount of wine that it has to be before you can dilute it. If you want, they sell in Tom Thumb a diluted grape juice. Okay, that thing for people
So
with.
it doesn't have as much.
It doesn't have
sugar?
as much sugar.
Okay.
So you can go and you can do that.
It doesn't have much grapes either.
Right. But it has enough. There's a certain amount that it has to be in order to make kiddush.
Is it Kedem?
It's Kedem, yeah. Kedem has. You see, there's like in red, it says like a third less sugar or something like that.
That would be
That'd be fine. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, not that I hate to do this, but dry wines, which I really don't like, but dry wines have less sugar than I think grape juice. And also, just understand, your grape juice, your Kiddush cup is probably, I mean, you really need to drink. If you had an issue of sugar, you probably drink 1 ounce and 3/4, and you're fine. So you only need to drink 1 ounce and 3/4
Of what?
of whatever you have in your cup.
Juice
Wine. You fill up the cup, but then you only need to drink 1 ounce and 3/4.
Oh.
Okay, because you're supposed to drink what's called the revias.
But you always drink the whole thing.
I do, because it's 5 ounces, and so it's better to drink the whole cup. So I drink the whole cup, and so 5 ounces, whatever.
How
Full
did
of
you
sugar,
drink
though.
enough?
What? Right. So that's why I drink it. But technically, the first supposed to drink the whole cup. If not a whole cup, at least drink 3.3 ounce, at least 3.3 ounces, right, or most of the cup. right, most of the cup, and then not 3.3 ounces, if not then at least half of 3.3 ounces, which is roughly right 1.6 ounces or whatever it is. And so
I have to look at the difference.
yeah, so you just go take a look at it. And so an ounce and a half of grape juice,
So I'm trying to
is again is not so much. And then if you're the simplest way is if you have somebody else make the kiddush, then they could just drink it. You don't have to drink anything.
Well,
Right. So that's what it is. Okay, so we ended off in the middle of chapter 4. We ended off with the story of Cain and Abel. Right, we said Cain killed Abel. Right, Abel has to die right on page 21, 23. And just at the end, that what happened was that Cain and Abel now go ahead and they are Cain and Abel. Cain has killed Abel. He has gotten the ground to swallow the body, and we talked about that Abel had to die because because the parents named him nothing, and if somebody thinks they're nothing, they can't exist. Right? And so that's why Cain kills Abel.
that's what Abel means?
Yeah.
It means nothing?
Hevel, yeah, Hevel. Where else does the word Hevel will appear, by the way, in the Torah? In Tanakh.
H-E-V-E-L?
H-E-V-E-L.
Never heard that before.
Right?
Oh, Kollel.
Very good. Beginning of Koheles. That's David. Yeah. Right. Hevel havalim amar Koheles akol havel. Right. Everything is nothing is nothing. Right. Hevel. Right. As the Koheles says, everything is nothing. Right. The only thing that you got to worry about is your relationship with God. Right. So it's not. And that, by the way, you should know, I just posted on my Facebook page. So this great little video, actually put up by. It's probably like 2 minutes long.
Can we see it?
The king with 4 wives, and at the end of the class, remind me, I'll pull it up.
Thanks.
But I thought it was like perfect. So just the king has 4 wives, and basically, right, he's dying and he's scared to go. He's scared to go to die, to have none of his wives go with him. So he took his 4th wife that he took care of the most and said, "Do you want to come with me?" She says, "No, not for me." Then he goes to the 3rd wife, right, his 2nd most beloved, and she says, "No, I'm not, I'm just not going to do it." The second wife, he says, "No." He says, she says, "I can't go with you." She says, "But I'll arrange you. I'll make you a nice funeral and I'll take care of you." And all of a sudden he hears the first wife, who really had neglected, say, "I'll go with you." Right, and so and then he apologizes. He said, "I should have taken better care of you when I was living." And he says, and the parable is the fourth wife, right, was one he showered with all sorts of gifts and attention, is our body. Right? The 3rd wife is is what? The belongings. Right. The possessions. Right? The possessions that we have. The 2nd wife, who said, "I'll make a nice funeral," those are our friends and family. And the 1st wife who said, "I'll go with you," is our soul. And so you got to make sure you take care of your right wife in this world.
Wow,
right when you, it's a beautiful thing. So I posted that on something nice. I posted that up on.
That's a good one.
On my Facebook. Okay. Anyway, so back.
Hashem turned to us and Shir.
Right.
You're going to kill
Yeah, the
that
wife.
wife.
Yeah.
A woman.
And so what happens is, so you go ahead and you have Cain kills Abel. Abel is gone. Right? Abel convinces the ground to swallow, to take in Abel's body. And we said, and at the end of the day, because Abel couldn't exist, right? Because really we're supposed to have Cain and Abel, sort of those 2 sides in us pulling us all the time. Cain, who's a narcissist, saying, "Because of me the world was created." Abel saying that I realize I'm nothing, but just dust and ash. And in between these 2 poles, it kind of keeps me on the straight and narrow. Right? I'm able to. And if we get too haughty, thinking that, "Oh my gosh, if the world's for me, I could make up my own rules." So then you pull out your pocket, I'm but just dust and ash. And you think, well, if I'm dust and ash and nothing, and really I'm meaningless, and it doesn't matter what I do, then we pull out our pocket. Because of me, the world was created. Right? And so that's really we're supposed to have these two pulls, these 2 people holding us, sort of to keep us in where we need to go, and how we can become the best people we can become. And he said at the end of the day is that, right, it talks about in the oral law that Cain and Abel actually get reincarnated, right? And Abel Right? They thought he was nothing, gets reincarnated as Moses. Right? It was Moses. Moses said, right? Moses said, Moses was the most humble of all people to walk on the face of the earth. Right? And so he said, he took true nothingness. See, people think that to say they're nothing, I'm nothing. That isn't your nothing. True humility is the idea that you know how valuable you are, but recognizing that it's all from God. Like, what did you do?
Right.
And what did you do to get all this stuff, right? Like how did, right? What are the things that happened that got you, right? That you're so smart? Great, fantastic. God gave you the brains, right? You're so beautiful. Guess what? God gave you that. Right? You go through the list, right? And you realize that all the gifts that you do have, now where do they come from? Right? All the gifts that you do have, that they all come from God. And that's really the key, kind of to understanding and to figuring it out, is of humility, is not saying what you have or you don't have, right? But is recognizing that everything you do have is from God. You're wealthy, great, fantastic. Who gave you the money? God. Okay, so what does God want me to do with it? What does God want me to do with my brains? What does God want me to do with everything that I have?
Everything.
Right, it goes back to, it all comes from God, right? And my job, right, is to recognize that it comes from God and to use it in the most godly way that I can.
Just one question.
Yeah.
You're right about that, but how about people who go study, they become scientists, but they do something for it, they work for it.
Sure, they
They
put,
don't earn the money just because it's free.
correct, they put their efforts into those things. But who gave them the brains to be able to become a scientist? Right. Who helped them achieve? Who helped them achieve what they achieved?
So they work together.
They work right. But now, and again, right. So then a person has to say, is that what God wanted me to do with my brains? Right? Is that the best use? Is that the best use of what He has given me? Right? Did I use it for the right purposes? And then that becomes a much more sophisticated question, and that's a much more delicate. Like it. Am I using the tools that God has given me for the greatest gift that I can do?
For example, the Iran deal.
Right? It's like
No politics. No politics.
right? Okay, right? Is all this stuff, right? All this stuff is really using it for the greatest, right? For the greatest good, whatever we have, right? And then it becomes even more dangerous, because if you use what you have and you recognize that it comes from God, so then you have to own what you use it for, right? You have to own what you're using it for, and now you're owning it. Right, meaning, okay, so now did I really do the right thing? Right, or did I do enough? Right, did I become the greatest I could become, or did I go ahead and did I not use it? Right, or did I go ahead and get to a place where there's more I could achieve that I didn't do? Right, and kind of when you begin to understand that, and when you dig through all this stuff, and at the end of the day, you come to a place of where you have to recognize, right, is that at the end of the day, all our gifts are from God, right? And are we using them for the right things, right? And right, are we achieving what we need to achieve, right? That's really what it's about, right? It's going ahead and getting to a place of achievement of where I can get, right? Am I doing what I need to be doing, right? And did I use it to its best? And sometimes it's very interesting. Sometimes the answer isn't so doesn't make us feel so good, right? Because it brings up more questions than good answers that we have. And it's actually interesting. This past Saturday night, Sunday was a quasi holiday for the Jewish people. Right? There was Peter. You know the holiday, right? Right? We didn't say Tachlon and Shul. But it's called Pesach Sheni, right? The holiday, right, of the second Pesach. It means the first Passover, if you had gone ahead and had used what could not bring the Paschal lamb through not a purposeful thing, but something that you had come defiled by a dead body, right? Or something, right? You got stuck, your plane engine blew and you ended up in Philadelphia instead of in Tel Aviv, right? So right, they end up in the wrong place. So then at that point in time, right? So then at that point in time, you at that point in time you get a chance to do a makeup, right? Which was 30 days later, and you got a chance to eat a Paschal lamb, right, with matzos and mar, right, to go ahead and to do that. And what's fascinating, right? What's fascinating is this holiday, kind of is just kind of goes under the radar, but really the idea behind this holiday is that even when you mess up the first time, you have a chance to do a makeup, right? You could go ahead and you could bring your Pesach Sheni, you could bring a second Paschal lamb to go ahead and to fix what you have, right, what you have missed, right? What you have, right, the way that you've done something that's improper. And really, at the end of the day, God, and we talked about this a lot of times, right? Even Cain and Abel, right? The whole story of Cain and Abel was God comes to Cain and says, like, what's going on here, right? And Cain, instead of taking responsibility, what does he do? And he says, "I'm my brother's keeper," right? Kind of like, right. Not owning what he did, and really, life is all about us owning what we've done, okay, and kind of and owning it. And if we did something that was not proper. And again, how much responsibility we have is a discussion. Something, right? I didn't know better. Could I have known better? Yada yada you. But at the end of the day, the goal is that when you do know better, is to change your song, right? Is to go ahead and to go ahead and to say, well, I'm owning it. I did something wrong, and therefore I want to correct what I did wrong. And at the end of the day, I think when we're by ourselves, okay, right, with nobody watching, right, so we could admit we did something that was wrong, right? And I'll tell you a little trick to use is don't use yourself, okay, because we always have a very hard time, right, looking at ourselves because we're so blinded by the love we have for ourselves that we don't own the mistakes that we do, and really the goal is to own it and to say, so you could say don't use you, but say if somebody did X, Y, and Z, was that right or wrong, right, from an objective point, right, and then and from an objective point you'll be better at getting the right answer. And then at that point in time, you do either, they say, okay, well, and if they did do it, what would be the way? If they came to you asking your advice, right, how would you suggest to them that they correct what they did? Right, and that's really the goal of going ahead and of owning it, right, and saying, okay, if I did something wrong, I made this mistake, and I'm going to try to fix it and do the best that I can. Right, and sometimes it's beyond our control. And it's something we can't fix, and the answer is we try to do our best to correct what we've done. Right? But that's something that we have to own and learn really to own what we're doing. Okay, that's something that's really very important to be able to do, and to really to say, it's me and I own it.
Oh, Rabbi.
Yeah.
What does the Talmud say about sinning or do something wrong in secret, but you know that what you're doing is wrong, but in secret, what is the punishment? In secret?
So it's interesting. Is it worse to sin in public, or is it worse to sin in private?
Private.
Well, if you sin in public, people can see, and so you desecrate God's name, right? So sitting in public, in that sense, right, would be worse. The problem is that when you sin in private, what you're saying is, right, I'm afraid of people, but I'm not afraid of God.
So you got double punishment.
So then you go ahead and then you get yourself in real hot water, right? Like at that point in time, that becomes, right, then, right, that's that. So it's really, right, the answer is, I'll give you a suggestion, don't sin. It's not worth it. Whatever they tell, whatever they tell you that you're going to get from doing that, don't buy it. It's not true. Okay, the evil inclination. By the way, the evil inclination. You know what the best thing the evil inclination uses to trick us.
Deception. Deception?
Deception. I would just distraction.
Distraction.
It's not.
Temptation.
It's distraction. For example, we all have the baby sitting in the high chair, right? And our baby wouldn't eat. So what do? We take the spoon, we put on some food, and we say, "Look, here comes the plane. It's taking off." Like, whoo. Right, wow, well, look at that. Another loop-de-loop. Okay, it's coming in for the landing. Open up wide. Right? Deposit, right? And you do that again, right? What are you doing to your kid? The kid doesn't want to eat, but what are you doing? You're distracting the child. And we laugh at it because it's so cute. Right? But we've never grown older than our 12-month-old.
Right.
That's exactly what we do. Right? The evil inclination, the way he gets us to sin is he distracts us.
Right.
Okay? And he doesn't let us stop and think what the right thing is. Who here has taken an hour, sometime during the last year, to just stop and think about what their life is, where life is going, and what should they do about it?
I do that all the time.
Okay. You guys are greater than me. Right? Okay, right? But really to take like a top-down approach. Like really like, how should I spend my life? I only have X amount of time. What am I doing with it? Right, the half hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Right, have we actually stopped and said, am I going, right, do I know where I'm going and am I doing the best thing to get there? Right, and what do I really want to achieve? And that's something that is important as a Jew, right, certainly is to go ahead and it's always to stop and to think and to really analyze, right, what we're trying to do. And then at the end of the day, we have to say, is this what I want to do? Am I going to make some changes? That will go ahead and we'll make it that I can get what I really want, not what I think I want. And that's really, and then make a plan on how I'm going to get there, right? But where do we want to be in a year from now, right? What do we want to be doing? You want to be closer to God. Well, how am I going to get closer to God, right? Or right, what am I going to do to achieve those things, right? And to go ahead and to kind of like and to try to figure out where I'm going, where I'm heading, and how I'm going to get there. And then as life goes so fast, we fall into bed at night and we kind of like another day is gone and we really haven't thought about it. We really haven't stopped and said, what's happening? Where am I going? What am I trying to achieve? Right? And then making a plan to actually go ahead and to achieve how I want to get to where I'm going. Right? And learning how to go ahead and to do that, that's something that if you really learn how to do that, you'll be unstoppable. Right? We'll be able to conquer the world. But it's just taking that time to stop and to achieve and to think where we're going and how we're going to go ahead and to do it. Because it all boils down to taking baby steps, right? And it's always about baby steps.
Don't
Right?
you think people redo that more when they're like getting ready to go to college? They think about things like that rather than after college and after work and after marriage.
It could be, but somebody before college usually is actually probably has the wrong goals in mind anyway. And they're trying to achieve the wrong things. I gave a class this past week. It was great. It was great. That's just so funny. It was I had a bunch of kids. Okay, so they were right 13, 14 years old. And I said to them, I said, what do you want to achieve out of life? And so one kid says, I just want to watch movies and play video games. So I said to him, really? I said, you want to sit there all day and play video games and watch movies? He said, yes. I said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what. Let's take this next month. Instead of coming to school every day, right, you want to sit down 18 hours a day, okay, 16 hours a day, we'll sit you in front of a TV, right, then we'll let you go watch movies and, right, just go ahead and, like for a whole month. I said, how do you think you feel at the end of that month?
How old is he?
9 to 14.
Oh yeah, great.
Right, and then if he does it,
On a roller coaster.
What did he say?
it's like I went on to the next one. I didn't want him to answer. I don't need him to answer, right? Because like he won't. So somebody said, he says, I really want fame. So I said, great. I said, like who? He said, to be into the NBA Hall of Fame. I said, okay. I said to one of the rabbis, I said, do me a favor. Could you Google the top 125 people in the NBA Hall of Fame? And I said to the kid, I said, stop me when you recognize any one of these players.
Oh, that's good. That was good.
We started going down the list. They knew nobody. The whole class knew nobody.
Of course.
And they said, okay, let's do football. I said, okay, we'll try football. Okay, try football Hall of Fame. So again, so I think like out of the first 30, they recognized one. Right? And it actually was funny because it was a group from Houston and Dallas. So Houston was, what's the name, the running back, Earl, or what's his name? Earl Campbell. Yeah, so I recognized a few of them, right? Because right now the last 40 years, so like they recognized. I said, is that the fame you want? I said, let me ask you a question. I said, do you know who Reb Moshe Feinstein is? Do you know who Rashi is? Do you know who Nachmanides is? I said, do you know who Maimonides is? Right? And I said, you want fame? I said, go learn. I said, then you'll be famous. I said, that will be fame that will last you for. Right? We were talking about Rashi for the last. And Rashi passed away 1105.
1152.
Right. So for the last 1,000 years, you ask every single Jew alive on the planet who has ever studied any Torah whatsoever, right? And you ask them who Rashi is, right? I said, but that's even that fame is really actually is the wrong way that you're going. I said, because why do you want fame? You want people to say how wonderful you are. Right? That's why you want fame. I said, it's the whole opposite of what Judaism stands for. Judaism says there's only one person you have to care what they think about you. And that's God. Everyone else is irrelevant. Right? We play to an audience of one. And who's that audience? That's God. That's the only audience we need to impress. That's the only audience that counts. Right? The Talmud says, better to be a fool in the eyes of people for your entire life than for a second in God's eyes. Right? And getting that down and understanding where that comes from, right? And keeping that front and center is really what it's all about. It's all putting the context of what does God want, right? What's my relationship with God, right? What does God think about what I'm going to do? And what does God think about what I am doing? Right at that point in time, right? That's greatness, right? That's learning how to truly be a great person, right? Is to go ahead and say, what does God want from me? It's not what does the rabbi want from me, right? It's what does God want from me?
You know what the rabbi wants from you. No, seriously, do we really need to impress God, or it's really between us and ourselves,
Well, let me ask you a question. Who is you?
My soul.
Your soul. And who's your soul? Your soul is a piece of God, right? We have to do. We want to be righteous. Holy. That's being godly. And that's all God wants from us, and that's all what we really need to do. And then we have to become holy. And by the way, I want to tell you something. Everything we do in life could be attached to that train.
Right.
It means if I go to work, because God told me to go to work, and I'm supporting my family, and I'm helping other people while doing that, is that godly going to work? Absolutely. Sure. Right? Being godly doesn't mean only that I sit and study Torah all day. Right? That's a mistake. Doesn't hurt, but that's not my job.
You should also glorify God in your actions at work.
That's being a godly
character.
Right? Being a godly person in how we operate.
The study of Torah is equal to all 613 mitzvot.
Sure.
So studying Torah might be enough.
Right, but it's not only studying Torah, it's acting Torah. Right?
If you're only studying Torah, you can't act.
Right. But again, but most people, we have obligations, right? That supersede it, right? It means if we have parents, we have obligations to our parents. We have siblings, we have children, we have spouses, and we have obligations to them. And it all falls underneath our job, right? What our job is, right? What do we need to do, right? What's our job, and are we doing it? And that's really what our job is, right? Is to go ahead and to achieve that, right? So therefore, it's why it's a lot of the things. Two people do the exact same thing. One's going to go to heaven. One's going to go to hell. You should know that. And two people doing the exact same thing. One's going to go to heaven, and one is going to go to hell.
Give me an example.
I'll give you an example. You go ahead and you eat something that's not kosher. Right? Okay, now, terrible, right? But now let's say somebody puts a gun to your head and it says, eat it or I'll shoot you. You eat it. Now, when you eat it, when somebody holds a gun to your head, are you going to heaven or are you going to go to hell for that? Heaven, right? Because you did the right thing. Everything, every action, right? There's
Or if you eat something that's not kosher by accident.
by accident, I mean, whatever. So then,
By mistake.
by mistake. So again, so you did it by mistake. You say you're sorry to God and move on, right? It's right. There are different oaths, but every action, why we do it is really most of the driving factor, and why we do it is very, very complicated.
Yeah.
Because we could fool ourselves into think we're doing it for the right reasons. Really, it's the wrong reasons. And then really there are other reasons why we're doing it than really them for the right reasons, and other times not. So it's really, it's a fascinating way, right? I mean, that we play it to the audience of one. And by the way, do you know what's the Hebrew word for modesty?
What's that?
Tzniut. The Hebrew word for modesty.
Yeah.
Tzniut.
Yeah.
Right, tzniut. Where does the word tzniut appear in the Torah?
We go to
Anywhere.
No.
What? Very good. V'hatznei lechet im Hashem Elokecha. Right, and you shall be humble. Right, you can use tznius, whatever. Right?
So the modesty is
The modesty is to walk with Hashem, your God.
Right.
Right? That's where the word tzniut appears. Why? Because who is the most humble? God. Right? Moses is the most humble human being, right? Right? He was anav, he was humble. Different than tzniut, different than modest. Right? But modesty is used when it comes to God. Right? It means that somebody who is modest gets to walk with God. And what's our job?
To walk with God.
Right? That's right. That's right. That's the piece that goes along.
Yeah, not talking about just modesty in your clothing, but it's modesty in your
Actions,
demeanor.
actions, demeanor, absolutely all these things. Right? That's actually that's exactly where modesty comes from. Right? Modesty in clothing is just one outside thing, but even modesty in clothing, you could wear guys have less laws of modesty in clothing because they just don't got too much to show. But right, so wear a pair of shorts, they're okay, right? A woman who God made beautiful, so there are more laws of modesty, but she could follow the laws of modesty to the T, right, and go to hell. You know, her skirt could come down to her knees, but it's so tight you can see it whatever you want, right? So that's not modest, right? Modesty, the person could be dressed modest, but then act immodest, right? So it's not right. It's not just. There are many levels of where modesty comes in, and it's kind of layers on layers, right? On how we act and how we have to be.
What is modesty? Give me an example of modesty and behavior.
Modesty behavior. Okay,
I'm trying to learn. I got a lot to learn here.
Right. Okay. So modesty behavior means really anti-modesty is calling non-modesty is calling attention to oneself.
Unfounded bragging.
There you go.
Unfounded bragging. I'm not sure that any founded bragging, but yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. But something like that could be an example.
Rabbi, modesty in clothing. When a girl dress in a provocative way,
Yeah.
If her intention is to wear a mini skirt so she can distract the girl, that is not acceptable.
No. In
Right.
either case, whether she does it because she wants to just feel cool, right? There's not even a question of that. But modesty is not just for girls; it's for guys too.
Of course.
Right? And it's in dress, it's in action, it's in behavior, it's in talk, it's in speech. Right? It kind of cuts across everything. Because the bottom line is we're going ahead and we're playing to the audience of God. Right? That's what we're doing, right? We're acting, right? We're trying to be godly.
Yeah. And
God is modest, and our job is to be godly.
Right. So if question. If you get a call from let's say the president say, okay, I want you to show up, or we want you in the White House in 3 days, and so how you gonna present yourself there? And then when you go to the show, right, or you go to somebody's house, and how you present yourself.
Right.
So the clothing, it depends. You got to be presentable, right?
Correct.
Okay. And it's not. If you like to wear a jean and a pair of zapatos, and you get used to that, that's your comfort zone. And then based on I know your dad, he's a gentleman, and he raised you in the way that every time you want to go to public, you have to be presentable.
Right.
Right. So
My mother, by the way.
She's
Not that my dad did it, but that my mother was.
You see that, and then, but another person may judge you that, why he's always so,
presentable. And so the answer is, don't worry about what people say.
Exactly.
Okay, you have to worry about what does God say.
Okay?
Right? Get that down pat. Okay, our goal is, what does God say? Audience of one. That's all. At the end of the day, it's an audience of one. And I think it's actually what's his name? The rabbi who started Neve, Rabbi Refson. I thought he articulated it so well. Says he called it the audience of one, and that's the job of modesty. We're the audience of one, right? And really how we're presenting ourselves to God, right? What does it say, right? Right? Dalif ne'miyata omed. Know in front of who you are standing.
Yeah.
Right? And God covers God's all over the world. Right? And so we're standing in front of God. And so that's our job.
That's a pretty difficult standard, Rabbi. Really, you're sometimes alone, and you maybe make some kind of
inappropriate comment.
No, maybe you just have a bodily function that
right,
that you have to take care of.
Right.
It's not something you want Hashem to be part of.
Right. No. Right. So again, it's everything. God made us that we need to. Yeah. God made us with these functions, right? So the functions aren't bad, right? The functions, don't be gross about it. You know what I'm saying? Like don't, right? Be refined. Right? Learn to carry ourselves in a refined manner, right? And refined people, even when they're not in public, hopefully are refined as well, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like all this type of stuff we have to learn. Right? We have to learn to be that way, to model that way.
So if you pass some gas in private, you should say, "Excuse me, God."
It's not
very funny. I'm just asking.
No. So the answer is be modest. Don't be gross about it. That's all. That's at the bottom line. But it's
you have to feel. You have to
feel that way. You have to feel you're in God's presence.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. You have to feel you're in God's presence.
You have to feel somewhat ashamed.
And not ashamed because it's normal, but we have to act in a normal way.
Don't be a frat boy about it.
Right, there we go. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is the type of stuff. It's all acts. It cuts across everything. Like, just be refined. You know what I'm saying? Like understand.
But there's a difference between pretense and sincerity.
Right. So just be sincere, and that's all. Do it. That's what I said. People who do the same exact actions. One's going to heaven, one's going to hell. Right? You know what I'm saying? Right. Why we do?
Shouldn't feel embarrassed for being human.
Correct. Alrighty. So Cain and Abel, we have, what is it, Remax, what is it? They have the showdown number 2, right, as we said, as Cain is reincarnated as Korach, right, who challenges Moses, and Moses is reincarnated as, is the reincarnation of Abel, right, and that's why, I don't remember, and then what happens is that, that's why when Korach challenges Moses says you have to die in a specific way, right? And what was that? That was the earth swallowing him up, With the same earth that swallowed up Abel back when Cain kills him, the same earth that comes back now and kind of turns the table, and Korach gets swallowed up, right? Korach gets swallowed up, and Moses gets to live.
Rabbi, I got a question.
Yeah, one second. Go ahead.
So it said that when he got murdered, when
Right.
he went under the ground,
Mhm.
he cried to Hashem. So Hashem can read you while you're under the ground?
Hashem can reach you everywhere. Means his soul went up. He died, but his soul went to God. That's where his soul went.
So when you die, you can also... Aren't you finished when you die?
When you die, you're just starting.
Starting, yeah.
You're finished in this world, but you're starting the next world. And the difference between this world and the next world is the next world is eternity, and this world is not.
This
So
world
it's
is temporal.
very, very temporal.
So which is real?
The next world.
The next
Yes.
one.
This whole world
This
is really
one's
just
a fake
it's just a mirage.
It's a temporary
This is a
world.
It's a temporary
It's
world.
They call it the
path to
temporal world.
This
vertical
world
Right.
is a
So
mirage.
we were studying this chapter with another rabbi.
That's
Mhm.
Kabbalistic.
Between the hell and what's the other one?
Hell.
Heaven. There is no proof. There's no actual proof, except either you have a belief or you don't have a belief.
No.
And that makes a big difference about the whole thing.
I don't disagree with that. I disagree with that.
No.
I disagree with that.
Listen.
I disagree with that.
Give me
I disagree with that for a number of reasons.
Okay.
Number one, the Torah we know comes from God.
Yeah.
Right? We know the Torah comes from God, right? It's not a question. It's not a belief. It's a knowledge. Right? We all heard God speak to Moses. We all heard give us the commandments. So the Torah we know comes from God. And the Torah talks about heaven. So that's number one. That's how we know. I don't believe it. I know it. Right? To me, it's knowledge. And as much as you think this table is a table, which, by the way, is really not even true. Why? Because the whole world is continuously being recreated. So this looks solid, right? But it's not just flashing on and off, and it's being recreated every second. The world is flashing into and out of existence, right? How do we know this? Because the smallest parts of the atom, right, are linking into and out of existence,
Right.
right? And so everything really in its basic core is really just into and out of existence. Just looks solid, feels solid, but really isn't. The world to come is really where it really is all about, right?
Should I be afraid?
No.
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 What are you talking about? I am scared.
I'm not.
You are holier than I, right? And I tell you the problem. God loves us, and God is all kind and all wonderful, right? That's the bottom line. So therefore, on one hand, right? Okay, God's going to take care of us. He takes care of us here. He's going to take care of us there. I'll tell you what I'm really afraid of. You know, there's a famous Hasidic story with Reb Zusha. Zusha was a great Hasidic master.
Kadusha?
Reb Zusha.
Zusha.
Okay, Reb Zusha. That Reb Zusha says, when I get to heaven, and they ask me, why wasn't I the Vilna Gaon? Or the Baal Shem Tov, right? Mm-hmm. He says, I have a very simple answer for God. You made the Baal Shem Tov, or you made the Vilna Gaon, great people. They had great ability. He says, that's not what I'm afraid of. He says, I'm afraid of that when I get to heaven, they're going to say to me, Zusha, why weren't you Zusha? He says, and that's when I begin to sweat. Right? Because did I use all my capabilities to the best that I can use them?
Yeah.
Right? That's the piece that I have to be afraid of. Right? And so right, and our goal is to live with that awareness. And to model our behavior based on that awareness, not based on what we think we want to do. And that's really the key. Last question. I'm going to move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, based on this question, he said, "What is the proof that
Is the heaven?"
The rabbi said, I think that is a little bit scientific statement, right? Because what the Judaism is teaching that. There is a God like we was planet, so we believe in that God. He created the world according to the Torah. God created the world. So the principle of the creation, that's what a scientific is dealing with. So there is no way they can know if something is true or not.
Well, I'll explain to you. Because the other thing is, we know there's a physical world.
Right.
Yet we know we have something above the physical world. We know we're a soul. Okay, right? We have a soul. The soul doesn't die. So where does the soul go? That's the question. Where was the soul before you were born? And where's the soul after you die?
With God.
With God. With God. With God. And really, in fact, I'll show you something just incredible. What we call life is really death, and what we call death is really life.
Right.
What do we call life? When a baby is born, right?
Right.
What's the only problem? Where was the baby before he was born?
With God.
With God. So now when it's born, where does it go?
Here.
Away from God. So is that life or is that death?
It's separation.
Yeah.
And separation, right? When a person dies, where does his soul go?
To God.
To God. So is that life?
That's life.
So why do we call it death?
That's why.
That's the body.
Right?
That's
Do you understand the problem?
Uh-huh.
Right? What the world calls life, we call death. What the world calls death, we call life.
Ecclesiastes.
By the
7.
way, where do we see that? Where do we see that?
Ecclesiastes 7.
Now what?
Rabbi.
Ecclesiastes verse 7.
Now what? What does it say?
Chapter 7.
It's chapter 7. No, verse 7.
Verse
Now what?
The day of one's mourning is better than the day of
Okay,
one's birth.
right, okay. So, but I will show you every Shemona Esrei we daven when we pray. The second blessing of the Shemona Esrei, we say, God, you are Melech, Meimis, Umechaya. You are a God who kills and who brings to life. Right? That's one of the prayers we give to God. Okay? God, you're the King, right? Who kills and who brings life. Can I ask you a question? Are you first born or do you first die? It should be Melech, Mechaye, Umeimis. That should be the King who brings to life and who kills. And yet we say the other way around. You're Melech, you're a King Meimis who dies. Meimis who kills, and then Mechaye who brings to life. So why do we do it backwards? The answer is because that's exactly what's happening.
That's the reality.
When you're born, you die. When you die, you're born. And because your soul, right, life is called a connection to God, right? So and so we have the whole world.
Yeah, but you're not allowed
That's
to
why we
speed it up.
shouldn't be.
But you're talking about different worlds. You know, the
That's why
spiritual
we shouldn't
world.
be.
Right. But what's the real world and what's the fake world?
The real world is the eternal world.
How do you know the physical world is not the real world?
Because I'm not there. So it's
the physical world.
What do you say?
How do you know the physical world is not the real world?
Because you die in the bury.
Because anything that has an end that will disappear
It's not real.
is not real. Right? Right? So the physical world will disappear. The physical world had a start, had a beginning, and has an end. Right? And so the physical world is really just something that disappears. So that is temporary. So therefore you go ahead, you have a temporary world, right? And so that's why it's called death. Right? The spiritual world is eternal. Right? You might be following, and so therefore that's
Besides the whole story, the whole Genesis starts with Adam and Eve in Garden of Eden. That's Gan Eden.
right.
Then
They got tossed out.
yes.
Right, but it's
So anything that's real is eternal.
anything that's real is
And we have to
eternal.
obey
And it must be the truth, right?
But that's what it is. How do we define truth?
Torah.
Because it has to be real, eternal, and a reflection of God's will.
Right.
Okay, right? That's truth. And that's the definition of truth.
Real,
Real, eternal, and God's will.
We learned
Reflection
that
of God's will.
Kabbalism, right?
What?
That's a Kabbalistic.
No, that's a very real. Forget about Kabbalah. That's
but
the
they
definition.
Speak of that often
That's a
in
that's
the
a
book
def-
of Kabbalah.
Yeah, that's the definition of truth. Yeah.
If when we die, we go back to God, where does hell fit in?
So what is hell? See, so people make a mistake. People think in hell there's like this nice big roaring fire with this nice devil with the pointy ears and the pointy tail with the nice pitchfork.
You said
Right? That's right. Okay, so let me tell you something. Don't forget the pitchfork. It's very important. And the pitchfork is never a straight 3 prongs. One of the prongs is always like a Z on or something like that. Okay? Right? Okay. So let me explain to you all something. The body that we live in here, in and now, you leave in the ground.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay? And the body, right?
With the nefesh.
But the body stays here. What goes on is your soul. What gives pain to a soul?
Regret.
Oh.
Remembrance.
Okay, or really, it's embarrassment.
Yeah.
What hell is
It's embarrassing.
is your soul getting upstairs to God and meeting God.
Being embarrassed.
And God says, let's sit down in the kindest, gentlest way that only God can do. Now you know why I'm scared. Is that he goes upstairs and God says, let's sit down. Bentzi, come sit down. Oh, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. Let's sit down and let's go through your life and see how well you did. I need to figure out where to put you. Right? And you sit down with God. And he turns page by page, day by day, 24 hours a day. And he's going to say, oh, I see you did this. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did this. Bentzi, can you explain to me why you did A and B and C and D and E and F and G and H and I and J and K and L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W,
And
right?
why you didn't do it.
And why you didn't do
Why
it, right?
you
And now
see-
you know I gave you this. I gave you these strengths. And
You didn't use them.
and you didn't use them. And right, you're going to be sitting there. I don't know about you guys. Right? And you get this. And then at the end of the day, that's the first step in hell, really. Oh my gosh. And then at the end of the day, then God says, you know what? You did good. You made it. You passed.
After 11 months.
No, you passed. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick you. You're going to get in the stadium. But you're a bleacher bum. I'm not sure what's worse, a bleacher bum or an upper deck seat.
Yeah,
Right? At least upper deck, there's a little shade up there, then a little bit of shade up there. Right? And you're trying to watch God, with those binoculars looking down there, right? Right? Looking, seeing what's happening. Right? That's what's taking place. Right? That's what's taking place. And you're going ahead and you're saying, oh my gosh, hey, there's my friend Jack. He's got who's sitting behind home plate? Who's got those seats behind home plate? And that's my friend Joe. Why is Joe down there and why am I up here? I was better than Joe. I did more things than Joe.
Oh.
So the good news is, this is how they work. Now I have a friend who's in a law firm. And everyone tracks their hours electronically. He says, but not only do you see your hours, you get to see everyone else's hours and who's beating you. So heaven is like this. You get a chance to pull up Jack's actions, right? You get to pick up Jack's actions in life. And you get to see that you're sure you were better than Jack. Except what you didn't know was that God gave you 5 times the potential as Jack. And therefore, Jack did better with his capabilities than what you did with your capabilities. So Jack got a front row seat, and you're still in the bleachers. And then you kind of wander over to the what's it called?
Skyboxes?
Skyboxes. Here we go. Thank you. The skyboxes. And they were sitting there with the food, free food, all you can eat, or you can drink. It's wonderful, right? And so you go in there and you're wondering, hey, Joe's in there. Why am I up here? And then take a look. Well, Joe had a rougher life. He had more tests. Right? And so therefore he was excused from doing what he was doing. And all of a sudden you start looking at all these things and also you begin realizing that, if I would have done better, I could have been in one of those seats. I could have been closer to God.
But it's too late.
It's that embarrassment
That's hell.
of not being closer to God, that's what we call hell.
Yeah, but you get to do it over.
Is it too late? So the answer is like this. The answer is at that point in time, when you go through the pain of hell, as you go through the pain of hell, they begin moving you up, as well as it depends what you left behind in this world. It means if you left behind good deeds, if you left behind children or people that you have touched, that you have gone ahead and that you have that are continuing doing good. So every Rosh Hashanah, it says the whole world is judged, not only the whole living world, even the whole dead world,
Yes.
and all the mitzvos right, that have been accrued because of you in this world, you get upgraded depending on how much they've done for you.
Now you believe it personally. We believe personally in reincarnation, right? I mean, we believe that some of us need to come back. For some
Right.
reason.
Some of us are so bad, we've totaled the car. We don't even make it into the stadium, and they just give us a return one-way ticket.
Well, then if you're praying for the dead, then you're not really praying for someone such as potentially me that might have been here before. You know what I mean? Like
No. So whatever. So we're just trying to help, right? Everyone.
the ones that are still there.
Right. Yeah.
Doc, you actually just answered it. I was going to say, it seemed to me that hell would be to get thrown back.
The Jewish hell is more similar to a Christian purgatory, which means that the hell kind of gets you to a place of where then you get by your actions, right? By your actions, by the pain that you get, that kind of gets a place where it elevates you. I call it the body shop. You imagine we go through this world, we come to heaven, we got a nice, beautiful Lamborghini, right? But the problem is it's got some scratches on it and some dents on it, right? And so, but you only go around in heaven, right? Everyone's got a gorgeous car, right? So you want to kind of park yourself, you're going to go to the body shop to get the kinks knocked out and to get you kind of refurbished, to kind of get you like everything just like made nice. That's what we call hell. And then reincarnation is you've totaled your car, we can't fix it. You got to go back down and try again. Now you should just know the good news is that probably everybody in this room has been reincarnated. We've been around the block. So if you look someone looks at me and say, "Oh,
Is that what those deja vu
oh
moments
yeah,
are
oh
about?
1900s, I remember you." Right, okay, right. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reincarnated.
okay? Is that? And now we're trying to kind of get the last souls, kind of like to get them fixed up, right? To get to, so we can get to the right. We can get to the next word.
We're all retreads.
We'll retry, right? We'll retread, right? We're kind of getting in again.
Are we all flunkies then?
We're not flunkies. We're back here. Our job is to do the best that we can do. That's our job. Okay. Don't worry about being flunkies. Don't worry. Just remember, our job is to do the best that we can do. That's all we need. That's all we need to worry about. Okay.
Rabbi,
So all these things are nice, but they're really unimportant because it's not. It's irrelevant to my job today. My job today is to do the best that I can do. Right. I need to do the best that I can do, and that's my job. Right. And so therefore, I need to do my best. That's all. Right? I got my audience of one. My audience is waiting for my play. I got to get on the stage, and I got to strut my stuff to God. That's the only person that matters. And when you get distracted and start doing it for other people, then what happens is at that point in time, you're being distracted. You're not doing what you need to be doing. Right? That's the problem. When you're not doing what you need to be doing, then you're in big trouble. Because our job is to do what we need to do. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Yeah.
so if you have this relationship with God, it seems to be a very satisfying relationship, right? But there are some people who still get lonely.
Right?
Why do people get lonely?
So it's very fascinating. I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something amazing. We as human beings, we're built that we need companionship. One of the things that human beings need is we need companionship. At the end of the day, a human being is never alone
Yeah.
because God is always with us.
Right.
So what happens is, the more we learn to focus on a relationship with God, right? The more we're able to focus in on that relationship, right? That's the greater we can become. King David, right? The first 28 years of his life was hell.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Okay, was hell on earth. Right? His father thought he was a bastard. Right? He was out in the field all by himself watching the sheep. Right? And so much so that when Samuel shows up and says, "Make sure your sons are there," right? That I'm going to anoint one of them as king of Israel. He calls everybody into his house except David.
Because he forgot about
Not forgot about him.
he
He thought he wasn't his. He thought it was an illegitimate child. And so for 28 years, David was thrown out. He had right, and that's what King David says. Ki avi v'imi azavuni, v'Hashem yasfeni. Right in the Psalm, I think 27. Right, because my father and mother right, would forsake me,
Right.
but God gathered me in.
Right.
Right, and what did King David do by being rejected by everybody?
He wrote Psalms.
He wrote Psalms. He got stronger.
Get stronger.
If I'm David and I'm 28, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign for you, man. You're right in the perfect timing. right. So that's right. So that.
You're ready, man.
Unless you're seeing the end of the King I'm not sure about it. But go back to Adam.
Yeah.
Okay. In the beginning, Adam was with God.
Right.
The only person.
Correct.
So why he gave him
A physical body.
first a physical body, then his wife against him, the woman against him. If he was so
Okay. So two
to
things.
be by himself
A
with God.
woman is not against him.
It says-
A woman is a kenegdo. What does kenegdo mean? It means that she is somebody who goes ahead and who her job, she is to balance out her husband, right? To help him fulfill, to make sure he's fulfilling his right mission.
Right.
Just like a husband's job for his wife, right? Meaning she is part of you. Okay?
Right.
Remember, it's in that kenegdo is what does it mean negdo, right? So, right. So the two ways, right? Means you said a helper, right? Ezer, a helper. Is a helper second?
in the Torah.
Right.
Because in Hebrew, in pure reading,
Negdo might
exactly.
right. So that's what the Talmud says. What does it mean negdo? Talmud says right for the right way. Right, if you're doing the right thing, then she's supposed to be with him. If you're doing the wrong thing, she's supposed to be opposite him. Right? Even Ezer, even a helper. Right? Even a helper. What does it mean? Is a helper higher or lower than the person they're helping? You always think of it as an Ezer, as a helper, right? Your assistant is your Ezer, right? But at the same time, your doctor is also your Ezer. Right? And the doctor is like this, and you're over here. You're over, and your assistant is down here. So Ezer, your helper, has two connotations as well. And so it depends. It depends what you do, right? And it depends on how the relationship. Because, as the Talmud says, a great line, a woman can take a king and turn him into a pauper. She could take a pauper and turn him into a king. Right. That a woman has the ability to mold her husband into a king or into a pauper. Right, and that's the relationship there is together. They're supposed to go to serve God.
Right.
And that's what. Now, why did God create Adam at all? Why didn't God just give Adam everything? So God just didn't give Adam everything, because if God would have given Adam just everything, call it a blank check.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man would have become a taker.
Right.
Because God would just be giving, we'd just be taking.
Right.
And if we become a taker, God is a giver. God's not a taker. Right. So we couldn't earn what we're getting, and hence there would always be some sort of shame involved, involved in taking from God. So God says, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to make you earn it. Right? And if you earn it, then I'm not giving to you, you're giving to me. Right? God's creating a system that we become givers, not takers.
Right.
And so that's why he creates a whole system. Does God care what Bentzi Epstein ate for lunch today?
Yes.
Yes.
Why? How does it affect God? The answer is because if I do what God wants, right? So I'm giving to God. So God now can give me back health. Right? God can give me all the blessings, right? Right? But instead of me being a taker, I'm a giver. Right? You understand? I'm giving to God. And so therefore I become a giver rather than a taker. And that's how I become godly. And my job in this world is to become a godly person. And if I could achieve to become a godly person, that's really my goal in life. Right? Is that when we walk down, right? When we walk down the street, what should be happening? When we say, "Wow, there goes a Jew, amazing," right? That's how so refined we should be. Right? That's our job to be. Right? You following? Right? It shouldn't. Right? And that's what we need to work on to get to such a place.
A light unto the world.
Yeah.
There seems to be something a little dichotomous in what you're saying, because, we human beings are supposed to seek companionship because, and to become givers, right?
Right.
And by the same token, God, chose the Jewish people to be a companion, right?
Right.
But God doesn't need anything.
Correct. So why do you choose us?
Well, But we do need to have companionship. I mean, this is something.
No. So why did God choose? So why?
There's an asymmetry here between what God is doing, but He doesn't need us. He
Exactly.
doesn't need the Jewish people.
So why did He choose us?
Why did He choose to have?
So we could be givers. He set up the system so that we can be givers to an omnipotent being who needs nothing. Right? He set it up in such a fashion that we are givers.
And an
But
example
I
under the
don't
other
feel I need
nations.
companionship anymore. You know, I mean, excuse me for
No.
I'm pretty happy just with God. That's enough. I love people. I like people, but I don't feel I have to have.
No, it's not. The reason you get married is not because you need something. The reason you're supposed to get married is because you want to give. Right? That's why it is. And so, of course, it's easier not having somebody to give to. I can be more self-centered. I only have to take care of myself. Right? Of course, it's easier just to take care of myself.
How can you develop the desire to want to give to a woman? You know?
Right? And so that's what marriage is about.
I mean, you can find women that want to take.
You can find, I mean, most men. It's a world, but we live in the sad part is we're living in a world that the world is a world of takers, right? We become so self-centered. You see, it's fascinating. You see, the world, certainly in America, we're in a land of rights. I have my right too, right? Just fill in the blank. It's all about my rights. Judaism says, is not I have my right. Judaism says I have my responsibility. It's rights versus responsibilities. You understand?
Is that the same as duty?
Duty, right. Responsibilities are duties. Right? It means that as Americans, as proud Americans, right, we have the right for this, and we have the right for that, and we have the right for this. I'll give you an example. Hypothetical example, of course. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I installed a brand new speaker system around my house, even with outside speakers. And I'm middle partying at 2 o'clock in the morning, and heck, I want to dance outside. So I turned on my loud outdoor speakers.
Shouldn't do that.
Right? And I'm having a good old time. Now, my next door neighbor doesn't like that too much because he's trying to sleep. So Rabbi Klein calls me up and says, Bentzi, do me a favor. Tone down the music. I said, what are you talking about, Rabbi? I have my rights to my music. I have the rights to my house. I can play it as loud as I want. Good night. Right? Okay.
Bad news with Rabbi Klein.
Yeah, bad thing. You don't need to treat Rabbi Klein. Everyone should be lucky to have a neighbor like Rabbi Klein, as I do. Right? Now, who's right?
Rabbi Klein.
Right. Rabbi Epstein's always right. Who's right?
No, Rabbi Klein is right.
Rabbi Klein. Oh, no. Right.
Not to wake him up.
So America says, what's my right? Right? Judaism says, wait a second, you have responsibilities. You have a neighbor. You can't just, you're going to disturb your neighbor? You have a responsibility not to disturb your neighbor. And since you have a responsibility not to disturb your neighbor, you can't turn on that music. Because you are then not doing your job. Right? And that, right, in the sense, and that's this idea of responsibilities as opposed to rights.
Rabbi,
and the Jews live in the world.
I just really hate this.
Yeah.
You know, all of our founding fathers were steeped in philosophy
Right.
co-relative rights and duties. So for every right you have a right to carry a gun, but you also have a duty not to use it inappropriately. So that's what. So for every right you have a duty. You have a right to make your speakers as loud as you want, but you have a duty to Rabbi Klein not to wake him up.
And then it's okay. So what I'm telling you is Judaism looks at our duties.
It's very close to our.
But the founding fathers were quite religious people.
Yeah.
And it could be quite a fascinating discussion to have them. You know, when
I really don't disagree with that. I'm just trying to.
No. But you're right. But you're right. It's
yeah.
rights and duties. But that's how the world is, right? It's duties versus responsibilities. Okay, let's move on to further. Cain. God comes to Cain. God says, right? How can you do this? Right? You're gonna have to go ahead. You're gonna have to wander the world. What does Cain say to God? No. I'm gonna get killed. Right? Because everyone who sees me, right? Is my iniquity too great to be born? Right? Behold, you have banished me this day from the face of the earth. Can I be hidden for your presence? I must become a vagrant and a wanderer on earth. Whoever meets me will kill me. So Hashem said to him, therefore, whoever slays Cain before 7 generations have passed, he will be punished. And Hashem placed a mark upon Cain so that none that meet him might kill him, right? He put a letter of his name on his forehead. Cain left the presence of Hashem, right? Top of page 23. And right, Cain left the presence of Hashem and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Right? So, right. Cain now is going and is wandering the world. Okay?
So Hashem was not in Nod or Eden.
No. So what does that mean? And he left, right, because it says, right, he left the presence of Hashem. So two things. The first one says Cain left the presence of Hashem, right? Could be just simply that God, right, turned off the video chat. Now Cain was on his own.
If he was left to wander around, it was like he was lost without God.
Right. But also is that let's assume that the Garden of Eden is someplace in the land of Israel, right? And he's now out of Eden, right? Or certainly Eden is, right? And so therefore that's when he left the presence of God, at the place where God's presence is even strong. Okay, that's right. That's what it means. So now Cain is wandering the world.
Yeah.
Okay, verse number 17. Okay, Kenny, you want to read?
And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he became a city builder, and he called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch.
And just by the way, Cain knew his wife. And did we talk about why the Torah always uses the idea of knowing for having sexual relations with?
There are no sexual words in the Hebrew language.
That is incorrect. Actually, this last week's Torah portion was full of it. Right? Gilu Arayos, right? That's right. It absolutely is.
I thought there were no words for the genitalia.
There's, again, but relations, right? Having relations, there is.
But
and yet the
to
Torah
say
here...
you knew someone means that you slept with them.
And why? So why do they use the word know?
Because then when two people
higher
are together, they're one.
Good. Go ahead.
A higher familiarity.
Okay, what does it mean, a higher familiarity?
It's not just a casual...
It's not just a physical action, right? Knowing somebody means knowing them emotionally. Knowing them, right? Right.
Face them,
right.
What's on the inside.
Right, very good. Right, that's why it's called knowing. Right, it says, "And man knew his wife." Yeah. Right, that is that the actual sexual relationship is a culmination of the spiritual and emotional knowing. Yes. When you spiritually and emotionally know them, then you can have the physical relationship with them. And that's what's called the man knew. That's why it always uses the expression of knowing, because at that point in time, it's knowing, right? Not just a physical relationship.
So it's a sacred act then?
It's very sacred.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very holy act, because it's sort of a culmination of the two coming together.
So was Cain's wife his sister?
Yes.
Because there were no other people.
There were no other people. At that point in time. He has a sister, and Abel's two sisters were around.
And Abel had two sisters, and Cain had two.
Had one sister.
And he married his sister.
Yes, sir.
But why did they say the one had two sisters?
Are you allowed to marry your sister?
No.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore?
Before, yes, right?
Hold on. Okay, so questions like this. Are you allowed to marry your sister?
No.
Were you ever allowed to marry your sister?
No.
And apparently in those days, yes.
Oh.
Before we got the Torah.
No.
No? Only non-Garden of Eden?
No. Hold on. Right? We already had the 6 Noahide laws, right? The 7th Noahide law comes by Noah. Now, what are the 6 Noahide laws?
Thou shalt not murder.
No murder. No adultery.
No adultery.
Right? So you're allowed to write no murder, no adultery, no idolatry, no stealing, not eating a limb from a live animal. Right? Those are the 5 negatives. The 2 positives are knowing there's a God and setting up court systems.
But there's no incest.
What? Absolutely no incest is sexual morality. Of course there is.
So it wasn't sexually immoral in those days.
It absolutely was. Come on.
Well, what the heck's it doing marrying his sister?
Oh! That's my question to you.
No, I mean, Rabbi, I don't know it. You're the answer man.
There were no other people in the world.
What?
There were no other people in the world.
And therefore there are no other people in the world?
You have to...
You have to. Why?
Otherwise the world will...
Because the world has to exist, and therefore you're required to.
That's what happened with Lot and his
Oh, very good. Lot and his daughters, exact same thing. Lot saw it because they thought they're the only people alive in the world. If you're the only two people alive in the world, you can do this. Now, you could ask the next question. When was the next question? So why did God create the world that it has to start with sexual immorality? Right? If God would have created two couples,
Yes.
that's all he needed to do.
Yes.
Right? And then therefore, those two couples could have had children, those children could have married each other, and everything would have been fine.
Exactly.
And yet God said no. By the way, when God created elephants, how many elephants did God create?
2.
No.
1.
Millions. Millions, herds and herds and herds. And how many antelopes did he create? Gazillions.
Gazillions.
Right? Why?
Oh,
Because
those
he
are
had to feed
gazelles.
gazelles. Okay, right. That's like gazillions. Okay, right. And how many lions did he create?
Billions.
Millions, prides and prides, right? So let me ask you a question. So why, when it comes to humans, did God just, and why did God create so many different elephants, antelopes, lions, tigers,
For man.
For our comfort.
for man, for the world, right? He wanted to create a beautiful world,
Yes.
right? For us to see, to enjoy. So then why, when he created man, did God not create millions of men and women? Or why not he just create even two? Just
He created just one.
He got tired and then he had to rest.
Say different. Everybody making mistakes.
He created only one, only Adam.
He made only one.
Good line. I
Right?
like that one.
So why?
To tell her that the world was created for you, no?
That's a very good.
Ah, that's
God wanted to teach us one of the most important lessons in the entire Torah. The whole world was created for one human being.
Wow.
Oh, because it was one.
It was one. It was, right? Adam and Eve was one, and then he put Adam to sleep and created a
One
woman.
guy.
One person.
The world really did revolve around him.
Right? No, right. Or it, right? Because it was a male and female. Okay?
He shaved.
Right? So what happened was, God created the entire world with one person, even though it meant then that the world had to continue with sexual immorality to teach us this lesson. That's how important this lesson is. And what's the lesson? The entire world was created for one human being.
You.
And who's that human being? That's you. And you. And you. And you. And you. And you. And you. The entire world, and me, by the way, thank you. Okay, that each one of us has to know that the entire world was created just for me. I am the sole purpose of the world for me. And to teach us that lesson and to bring it home so powerfully and to make sure we never ever forget it. There's a consequence to that, and the consequence is that that Cain has to marry his sister. Right? But why?
To teach us
To teach us this lesson. You want to ever know how important you are? The whole world was created for you. The world was created for one human being. Now, if you could walk out of this door get your head out there without getting so big-headed, because the whole world was created for you, that's a good thing. But understand, the entire world was created for one human being.
That's the right number.
Yeah.
Was there a woman before Eve? Why would
And then, so we don't. It's no.
What do you say? What do you say? What do you say?
No. There's something called Lilith that the whole that is that it's a whole. Right, it's a whole. It's a demon. Was there somebody created a woman? Was there a woman created before you?
So Rabbi, we are all related then, because if just one person was created,
correct,
right?
Right.
Every person on the planet.
Every person on the planet is right. Every person on the planet is related. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the first human being was a man and a woman together.
Right.
And he was divided in two to create a woman. Why don't we say is it divided in two to become a man?
Oh, so very interesting, because Adam, the man, right? So it was the man, right? It was the man side that was the lead. And that's not strong. It's really the lead.
Well, men are stronger than women.
That physically stronger.
Physically stronger.
Mentally, not so.
Well,
right? Okay. So,
No,
but that's right? But that's that kind of what it is. So it's that's why Adam is called men. It's all in the masculine, right? The fierce female.
The language is masculine.
No, okay, good, right? But as opposed to woman, which is referred to as.
But this is a human being with two people. It's got a woman and a man. He could have been divided to create a man, but it's divided to create a woman.
Correct.
Well, why?
Because
why not a man?
because right now, okay. So first of all, okay. Somebody online says didn't Abel marry Cain's sister? We never find any descendants of Abel. So as far as I know, Abel never married. So Cain, I'm assuming actually probably married all three of the girls. Right? Do you remember they're allowed to have multiple wives? And I didn't see this anywhere, so this I'm saying on my own. So kind of it could be wrong. So you could check it out and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But then just to find the source for it, I actually assumed that Cain married all three of them, married Abel's twin sisters and his own sister. And so then that was kind of how
Cain's
he did.
Twin sisters.
What?
Cain's twin sisters.
Abel had twin sisters. Abel was a triplet. Yeah, I'm assuming so because
he married both sisters.
Married both sisters. For the first, after Adam and Eve got thrown out of the garden, they stopped having relations for 130 years.
Huh.
How about
Why?
Jacob?
Why? Because they were so upset they sinned, and Adam was upset at Eve. So we'll have to because she brought sin to the world, and so what?
Jacob.
Okay.
How was Jacob, Rabbi?
It wasn't until after Cain was killed that they have sex.
That they right. That's what we're coming to. Hopefully today. My plan was to cover it today. It's on page 23. So right there. When we get to the bottom of the page, we'll hopefully tell the story.
So when he said that he got married to her,
Yeah.
that means that at that time they were civilized, that they was actually married, there was a contract, there was just forced to.
Oh, so no. So very interesting. So first of all, Adam was the rabbi. So Adam performed the chuppah. That's the problem. Almost didn't have witnesses, but okay, whatever it is, right? But Adam.
But there wasn't a formal ketubah.
No, ketubah is only rabbinic.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, ketubah is only rabbinic.
But there was an understanding.
There are three ways you can marry your wife.
The woman was in charge.
They were in charge of planning the wedding.
Yeah.
There were three ways, right? The three ways you could get married, right? By kesef, by money, giving the woman something of value, bishtar, writing a contract, or having relations with her. Okay,
They didn't have pens and
right?
paper, though.
What?
They didn't have pens and paper
Of
then.
course they did.
No, they
Bic has always been around. Okay, not Bic. So they had little turkeys running around.
They have a ketubah. There wasn't Judaism.
No.
Wasn't even
Hold on.
Judaism.
No, not ketubah. Ketubah is rabbinic. Ketubah is much later. You can make a contract, sure. Adam wrote down his Torah thoughts. What did Adam write down his Torah thoughts on?
He wrote down his what?
Torah thoughts.
His Torah. He wrote the Torah.
And no, he didn't write the Torah. This Torah, remember, we only get in the desert. Right? So how does he write down his Torah thoughts? And how does Eve write down her Torah thoughts?
So there is a Torah thoughts called something?
So yeah, sure.
Where is it?
We actually, I think Sefer HaYashar meant to be to Abraham. Some people say it's Abraham, some people say it's from Adam. But yeah, sure. You guys look so surprised. Okay. All right. What?
There's another way to.
What? Oh, we said we actually have one of the. There's a book called Sefer HaYashar. Now there's a few Sefer HaYashar. You have to make sure you get the right one. That was either by Adam or by Abraham was written.
You're kidding. So it's written. Wow.
So if Adam was created circumcised, then he was created with wisdom and the ability to write.
Of course he was. He was
He's
Adam.
fully developed.
Right.
He was fully developed.
Of course. Because then how could you sin if you can't?
Okay.
Right? Okay, so that's right. Okay, good. Okay. Right, God just inserted the chip. You know, and kind of give download, okay, cut, copy, paste, right into Adam's file, and Adam, right, when Adam was, it's okay, good. Plus he was a prophet, that helps too. Okay, but he wrote down his own Torah thoughts.
But the whole purpose of marriage is to create humankind.
No, incorrect.
Oh, wow.
Actually, it's funny. You really tongue-in-cheek, you're correct. Because the real purpose, God could have made us God could have made it that we procreate without a spouse.
Just thinking about it.
Right, okay? Right, an amoeba. Right, an amoeba, right, splits by itself.
Right.
So why did God create marriage?
Teach us how to
But they put them
To
back.
teach us how to give. That's always marriage was created to teach us how to give. Okay, period.
You've got to find a woman who wants to give to you, but you want to give to her.
Correct.
So you're
It's
fighting who's
reciprocal.
going to give to the other one.
More.
It's
Correct.
reciprocal, Norm.
Right,
So
right.
the competition is I'm going to give to her more than she's going to give to me.
Right, because if you look trying to find a woman that wants to
I'm
give to you,
divorced.
you know, so if you try, if you're trying to find the woman to give to you, then you're getting married to take. You're getting married to take. It's bad news. Okay, so you want to get.
Each
So
should
we-
have the desire to fulfill the other person unselfishly and with all that they have.
Why?
And
Because our job is to become godly, and to become a
Exactly.
giver. And that's the definition of a giver. That's why God created marriage.
I'm gonna have
and
to
not
come
because
back
they
and
want
do
to
this
get
again.
something back.
Right.
Because-
They want to, that's taken. Okay, good. Okay, excellent. So good. So we go ahead and so Cain knew his wife. Back to verse 17. Read it again.
17.
Okay.
And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived in Henoch. He became a city builder, and he called the name of the city after his son Henoch.
Chanach. Okay.
And to Hanoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mechuyael, and Mechuyael begot Metushael, and Metushael begot Lamach.
Wow.
Okay. Right. So now, by the way, why does the Torah tell me all this information?
God knows.
It's the beginning of the genealogy of the creation of the world. Methuselah would go on to live for what, 969 years?
No. So why does God tell us?
Let us know that Cain saw his offspring and saw the generations go by.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, before he was punished.
So because God told Cain he was going to live for 7 generations. So the Torah now counts the 7 generations that Cain has lived. Okay, because that's what the Torah that's what the Torah tells us. No.
Back then? Well,
No. Back
how
then
many generations?
it's 100. There's going to be 7 generations. We're counting.
Okay.
Cain,
Uh-huh.
Enoch or Chanoch,
Uh-huh.
Irad, Mechuyael, Mesushael, Lemech, and then he's going to have a son named Yavel. How many generations? 7.
Because
Right?
nothing's mentioned in Torah that doesn't have a deeper meaning.
Or a reason. It's not a history book.
So there's
Okay, 7 is
so
the
there's a
number of
reason.
completion.
No, I'm just.
Okay.
Where exactly they took their name from?
Oh, where did they get the name from? Yeah, that's also. It's also very interesting, right? So this happened to be very fine. Want to hear something like amazing? Okay, you came today. You came from the far north. Okay. Listen up carefully. Okay, so it's interesting.
No, it was boring.
So Cain. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to Yudzayin to 17. Okay, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch, or in Hebrew Chanoch. Okay, he became a city builder, and they named the city after his son Chanoch. Okay,
Who's he?
who Cain?
Cain.
Right, he was a prophet. Now again, he named his son. When did he name his son? When he was born. When did he build the city? Later on. But he was going to be a city builder. Can I ask you a fascinating question? How do you say education in Hebrew? Chinuch. And what does the Torah say the word chanoch means? A builder. A builder. It's a city builder.
Okay.
What is chinuch? What is education? Building. You're building the person. You're educating them. It's like, right. How do you build a city?
One brick at
You
a time.
make a plan, right? You have different levels, right? Different places, right?
Oh, there is another option in Hebrew because when you're starting something new,
Yeah.
it's Chanicha.
Because what is a Chanukah Tabayit?
That's it.
Right? What is it? It's a dedication of the home. What is the dedication of the home? That says where you're building.
An education center.
Right? So and it's what it is. It's an education center, right? So that's why he named him Chanoch. He named his kid a city builder to tell us that what is chinuch, what is education? It's building. Right. You take something, you have to attack it. It's a plan, and you build it. Now I want to tell you.
It drives me crazy.
Okay, now I want to tell you. Now I'll tell you one more thing about chinuch because we're on Chanoch. Now this is special. This is not for me.
Not from you?
Not for me. It's nothing is for me. Just listen. I told my wife and I were studying last night, and I told her something, and she goes, "Where is it? It doesn't say it here." I said, "Trust me, it's there." She says, "Nope, I'm not going to say it over unless you show me." It's 1:45 in the morning. So I said, "Okay." I said, "Let's go take a look." So we go back, and so I showed it. It's a Kliyaka. I found in the Kliyaka, it's all over the place. But the Kliyaka actually said it like verbatim, like what I told her. It was okay. It's a Kliyaka. She said, "Okay, now I can say it in class tomorrow." Okay, so we got the source. So this is from Rabbi Wolbe. You know Rabbi Wolbe in Houston? He runs Torch. Rabbi Wolbe in Houston, his grandfather was one of the great sages of our generation, one of the great ethicists in the world.
He was here one time, right?
The younger one, not the grandfather. The grandfather, actually, one time I took an Israel trip. I took a group of people to Israel in the 90s, and we went to his house. Because his house actually was across the street from my yeshiva where we were. And he has a book called Chinuch and Zriya. Boner Zriya. I think it's Zriya, Boner, I forget it. Okay? What is Zriya? Planting. Building and planting. What's the difference between building and planting?
One is above and one is below.
They ultimately have the same result.
Right.
Start from the ground.
You build from the
You go
ground
from the
up.
ground up also.
And with planting, you dig down to build.
So he says something very fascinating. He says when you build the building, he says however deep you make the foundation, that is just how tall you can make the building.
Exactly
That's right.
Right? Okay. Right? Okay. Okay.
At
What is a tree?
It's
It's unlimited growth. Because the more it needs to grow on top, the more it can grow in the bottom. Right? You understand? He says, so you don't want to be just a boner, just a builder, because then you are limiting your child based on the foundation that you pour. You want it to be a zuriya. You want it to be a planting so that as a child, there's unlimited potential to where the child can grow. Right? And that's why he says the difference between planting and building. Right? Then we want to give our children, right, or anyone we're trying to teach or educate, right, we'd rather do a zuriya, right? We'd rather do a planting rather than a building. Right? Because when you do a building, in what you might think is really doing the right thing, you really end up limiting the person from really what they can really get to. Right? Because you've only built the foundation to a certain level. And so you have to learn how to be a zoreya. You have to learn how to be a planter rather than a builder.
But don't plant a sycamore in your backyard.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the roots will upheave your foundation. Your entire house will fall.
Okay. Yes.
Isn't he the guy who murdered his brother, but he ended up having 7 generations? He had wives.
But
he ended up bringing the whole new world and everything else.
Isn't that amazing?
God is
But
merciful.
where's the punishment for him?
He apologized.
He did tshuva. He apologized.
But when? At the end?
No, he apologized when he said to God, "My sin is too great to bear."
Oh.
Right? And so he was doing tshuva. And he's still
The
so
manhunt
God.
started with the murder?
What?
The beginning of the manhunt started with the murder?
Yes, sir. You know why?
Why?
So nobody should ever say, "I am better than you," because we all have our skeletons in the closet.
So if I murder somebody, that means I'm trying to prevent him from murdering me because he will take my first child?
No.
And we're all come from murder.
No. We all come. Our great, like 200 times, right? We all come from the same grandfather who's a murderer. So you can never say you're greater than somebody else because we all come from that. Okay? Yes.
Rabbi. So when God Hashem asked Abel that, "Where is your brother?" and then when he said, "Am I my brother keeper?" What he said that as a that sounded a little bit arrogant, right?
And my brother, yeah.
Yeah. So he said that because he was upset, or
no, he was trying to hide.
Trying to hide.
Trying to hide, sure. Yeah, he said I'm out of here. Man, I'm right. We're trying to hide.
I was thinking about it, the whole time. And said, "Okay, good. Okay, what is your brother?"
Yeah.
But the guy said, "I'm a brother keeper."
Yeah.
And it's like you ask me something, right? And then I was like, "Oh, you think that I am a keeper of those boys?" And it sounds to me like he was upset about God, but not to give him approval for his sacrifice, the offering they both did. So I was just thinking.
Yeah. No, right. Okay. Yeah.
So the humankind started in a very good way. They had a perfect.
Right, we had perfection.
And then they hit the Sodom and Gomorrah, and then boom.
Hold on. Well, we way before summer. We got thrown out of the garden. We murdered our brother. It's good. We got a nice peckala going along, hanging there. Well,
Nice family.
Yeah, lovely family.
Sexual immorality, murdered our brother.
Right. All good things. Like all good things. Right? We want to be God, desire, jealousy, all good, healthy traits. We kind of bring it up.
So before Cain murdered his brother, they'd never experienced death.
Correct.
So how did he know he could kill him?
So the Talmud says Cain didn't even know how to kill Abel. Cain didn't know how to kill Abel.
But why did he want to kill him?
Because he was jealous. He was so angry that God
Yeah,
listened.
to the point that he would kill him?
Yeah.
He stabbed him over and over.
He stabbed him. He took a stone and he started beating him because they didn't know hit the arm, hit the heart. Nobody knew. They didn't know anything.
Where's the Bible?
You know, right. So he was hitting him all over. He didn't even know how to kill him.
Yes.
That's why it said that, the blood, it was a messy affair.
So was Abel just a total wimp at this point?
No, Abel
Just keep
Abel was stronger than Cain. And Abel first tackled Cain and was on top of Cain, and Cain said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was stupid. I'm just upset." And Abel let him up. And then Cain came in and ambushed him and was able to kill him.
That's the moral.
They just took a rock and kept hitting.
Yeah.
At that point they could die, but they
Figured that right. He didn't know how to do it.
With the sense of killing, with the knowing.
Yeah. He was trying to kill him.
He was just trying to finish something.
Yeah, he was trying to finish the business.
If you're gonna have your enemy down, don't
get him up. Right.
Don't let him get up.
Don't let the sanctions off. Yeah, go ahead. What? Right. Okay. Good. Okay, let's continue. So that was Chanukah. That was for you. That's a nice present. That was good. Okay, good. Okay.
So what does the Bentzi mean? Your name? It means something?
Yeah. Right. Another name. So I don't know all the names, but it is interesting, by the way, that Mechuyael, right, comes from. It has God's name in it. Right, and Chai. Yeah, right. And then you have Misushel is also. Right, it's also right. It ends with God's name. And what's interesting, you'll notice, it's actually quite fascinating. If you look at the names here. Okay, the next page, when Adam and Eve started having more children, a lot of the names are parallel. You see, it's very fascinating. It's a very interesting question. The Zohar, I think, by the way, goes into all these different names and what does it mean, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But I'm not so wise, so you have to go find yourself a rabbi who knows the Zohar. So you have to. I apologize for my ignorance. We come back to Breakneck, in 2030.
It's really interesting.
It's very interesting
because
they mean something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
The name
nothing here is by accident. Yeah. Right. The word lemech to me it comes from the word melech. Right. It's the same. It's just fascinating. There's just so much to talk about. Okay. Fine, okay, but they yell at me. They told me that we haven't even finished chapter 4 yet. That upset at me, so we have to. Yeah, we'll go back to it. Okay, verse number 19. But this is also exciting. Verse number 19. Okay, go ahead.
Lamech took to himself 2 wives. The name of one was Adah. The name of the second was Zillah.
Okay, why does he take 2 wives?
They're available.
The Torah never, remember, the Torah is not a history book. Right? The Torah is not a history book. Right? The Torah tells me he took 2 wives. Right? There's a reason he took 2 wives. So what does it say? Why did he take 2 wives?
One is for childbearing and the other is for pleasure.
Oh, so very interesting. So one was for childbearing, and one was for pleasure. Right? Which one was for childbearing? Which one was for pleasure?
It says Adam or Jabal, so it must be Adam.
Oh, so very interesting. Except the only problem is that you're going to find that Sila also gave birth. Verse 22. So it's interesting. So Tzila, the word Tzila comes from shade. Okay, where's from shade? Right? It means that he wants to sit in her shade. Right? So Tzila, right? He wanted to make it that Tzila, he was not interested in having children with Tzila. He wanted to have children with Ada, but not with Tzila, right? Because Tzila, right? Tzila, he didn't want her, right? Didn't want her having children. So how did you make it that Tzila couldn't have children?
He wouldn't have a relationship with her.
No, that's why he wanted her. He didn't want to be pregnant. Right? Because that would get in the way of having relations with her.
So he'd have to waste his sperm on the ground.
No. So what he did was he gave Sila. They had a drink that would make a person that would make the woman not able to have children. Right? Their form of birth control. Yeah, that was in the world, and that's what happened. So they made her barren, so she wouldn't have. Now this was a big sin. God was very unhappy with this. One of the sins that they did, but that was why he had 2 wives, right? And so the Torah says that was something that was very bad.
So God doesn't like it if you fix it so you can't have children?
Correct. Because God wants us to have children, right? That's our right. We're supposed to have children, and we're supposed to fill up the world. God wants the world filled with people.
We have so much empty space in the world.
Yeah, that's what it is.
How about if you cannot afford them?
If you don't worry about not affording them, because God, the same God that gives you the children, gives you the money to take care of them. So that's not a reason not to. That's not a reason not to. But the world is supposed to be filled with people. God created a world that He wants the world to be. He wants the world to be populated. Right? He wants the world to be populated. Right? That's what He wants. Okay, so go ahead. Verse 20.
And Adab or Yabal, and he was the first of those who dwell in tents and breed cattle.
What do we call them in modern English?
Shepherds.
Nomads. It was a nomads. Right? The nomads come from Yaval. Okay.
Is that the
Bedouins.
Bedouin?
But the nomads are bigger than the Bedouins. Go ahead.
The name of his brother was Yuval. He was the first of all who handled the harp and flute.
So what was Yuval's job?
He was a musician.
Musician. Right? Right? It's musician. Right?
Okay, but stop one second.
Yeah.
First of all, how the hell did they... I'm sorry.
How?
How did they find the...
Musician.
Everything was wild. The sheep was wild. The cows were wild.
Right.
How did they find cattle? And how did they find music? How did they even know about
So I'll tell you something fascinating about music.
Why even music? I mean, not Torah.
Right. So I'll tell you.
This is the first beginning of
okay.
happy life.
So let me tell you how you got to music. I'll tell you something fascinating. It's a Gemara. The Gemara says that the names of the bones of the names of the bones of the names of the bones of an animal are really like for music. I'm trying to remember. It says like a violin string made out of guts, and like different bones. They're hollow, so you can blow on them. You can make music. I'm trying to remember. I apologize.
They made the flute from trees.
Well, that could be. I'm telling you, it also comes from bones of the animal. But gums from leather.
Reed plants.
So this is not shofar.
Well, it could be a shofar too. Sure.
But they could have used the bones to make
And why did they play music? Very important. Why did they play music?
to make a pleasing aroma to God.
Why did they play music?
To be pleasing to God.
So, in order to get prophecy,
Way to worship God.
in order to get prophecy, you have to be happy.
Right.
And so they play music,
be
so
happy.
to put you into the mood.
I said that, a pleasing
Right.
aroma.
But in order to go ahead to get prophecy.
Right.
That was why they played music. Okay, so good. So that was the flute. Okay, and go ahead in verse 22.
In Selah 2, she bore Tuval Cain, who sharpened all cutting implements of copper and iron, and the sister of Tuval Cain was Naaman.
Nope. Whoops. So Zillah became pregnant. Better birth control next time, right? So Zillah goes ahead and has children, because remember we said every birth really was a right, double birth, and I think one male, one female was the regular, and so what happened was, so Zillah she bore Tuval Cain, okay, and Tuval Cain, and he sharpened all cutting implements of copper and iron. And his sister Tuval Cain was Naamah. What did Torah tell me what did Torah tell me about Naamah? Why is it important for us to know who Naamah was?
She was Noah.
Very good. She's the one who married Noah. Right, so we are all related to Naamah. This is interesting.
Tuval Cain's sister was Naamah.
Yeah.
Not
She
necessarily.
married Noah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Not necessarily if Adam and Eve had more kids.
Correct.
So we're not all related to her.
Correct.
I thought you just said we are.
We are.
But we don't have to be.
I know you said we don't have to be. I said that was correct, but we are.
Where's the fallacy? Where's my logic?
Where's the logic? Says Rashi! Says Rashi! Rashi verse 22. If I can read it. Naamah, he Ishto Shel Noach. She was the wife of Noach.
And her deeds were lovely and pleasant.
Okay, right.
Rashi.
Right, Naamah. Now, by the way, okay, good. Okay, right, with Naamah. Okay, now, by the way, what do you find strange about the name 22, in verse 22?
Tuval Cain,
What's strange about that?
son of Cain.
It's a
What?
hyphenated word.
Yeah, it's a
Hyphenated word.
I've never seen that before.
But what's interesting about it?
The Cain is lowercase.
So what was his name?
Tuval Cain.
Oh, because wasn't he the one that killed Cain?
Abel.
Yeah.
Cain is a murderer.
Of course. That's why.
Why are you naming your son after a murderer?
No, because he was the one that ended up killing Cain accidentally.
Ah. What did Tuval Cain invent?
Arrows.
Copper and iron.
Cutting of copper and iron.
Very interesting, right? Instruments that are used for killing. That's what Tuval Cain invented.
What about the bow and arrow? Did he do that?
And very interesting. Okay, but he's known as. By the way, this is just interesting. Right? People talk about the Copper Age.
Yeah.
Right, so it's copper and iron, right? You know, like bronze, right, and whatever, copper and iron.
But wasn't he the one that killed Cain?
Hold on. Verse 23.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, you're jumping the gun.
Sorry,
Okay.
We're talking about that in okay.
Okay, Joyce.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Verse
cut
23.
And Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, wives of Lamech, give ear to my speech. Have I slain a man by my wound, and a child by my bruise? If Cain suffered vengeance at 7 generations, then Lamech at 77.
So what's going on here? So let me tell you the story. Let me tell you a little story. Okay? I'll tell you a little story here. Okay? Okay, Bentzi, this was worth it coming all the way from Fort Worth for this story. Okay? You'll tell me afterwards if you agree. So what happened was Lamech goes ahead. And Lamech is blind. Right?
Yes.
Right? Lamech is blind. And what happens is he was go out hunting. And he took with him Tuval Cain, his great. He took with him into me. He took with him his son, Tuval Cain. And he's out in the forest hunting, and Tuval Cain, he hears, right, Lamech hears a sound, and he shoots towards the sound. And unbeknownst to him, the sound he heard was Cain walking in the forest. And he killed Cain. He killed Cain. He killed Cain. Tuvakain hunts, goes to cat to bring back the animal, and he sees Lamech killed his great-great-great-grandfather.
No.
Cain.
By mistake?
By mistake.
It's an accident.
It was an accident. So Tuval Cain says to Lamech, "Oh my gosh, you killed Grandpa."
Jeez, because he was blind.
Because he's blind.
Well, he didn't have any business hunting anyway.
You know, you are so one-dimensional.
I am.
No. Listen to me carefully.
I know
Why can't blind
the senses of it.
the sense of a blind person, they gain more accuracy. Now the areas, right? So he's able to hunt. Imagine that. He's able to hunt. Blind man was able to hunt by hearing. Amazing. And all of a sudden, Tuval Cain says to him, "Look what you did! You killed Grandpa Cain."
Right.
And Lamech says, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that!" And he starts hitting his hands like in grief. And he kills Tuval Cain.
Oh.
Okay, right. Tuval Cain gets his head caught in between his hands, and smack, he kills Tuval Cain.
He's strong enough to
kill two hands. Two hands.
He's like, oh, just a trainer.
Okay, so now he's killed on the same day. He's killed Cain, his great great grandfather, and he's killed his son. He comes back home. It's been a rough day rough day in the neighborhood, right? He had that stick, that they walk with, because they knew how to get home. And he gets home. And his wife say, "Honey, you're sleeping in the porch."
The doghouse.
Right, in the doghouse. We are done having relations with you. You're a murderer. You're out. Here's a nice new bedroom, nice new house down the block. You're welcome to move in. But you will no longer sleep in my bed.
Which wife is it?
Both wives.
No.
Adam and Sila. That's what it says. And go back to verse 23. And Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Sila, hear my voice. Wives of Lamech, give ears to my speach. Right? Wives of Lamech, right? Wives in relations. Have I slain a man by my wound and a child by my bruise? Like, did I go out and purposely kill them? If Cain suffered vengeance at 7 generations, then Lamech had 77. Cain, who murdered him purposely, got 7 generations added to his life. I did it by mistake. I should get 77 generations. Right? It's not fair what you're doing. Big disagreement in Lamech's household. So what happens when you disagree with your wife?
You lose. You're in trouble.
No, what do you do?
Moving to hotel.
You say, disagree with my wife? I would never disagree with my wife. I don't know what you're talking about. I know that's what you meant. You meant for other people to move into the hotel. Listen to me carefully. Okay, because I'm not going to tell you what to do. What happens when you disagree with your wife? What do?
Apologize. You apologize and say,
of course, but that never helps. Come on, let's be real. After you apologize, what do?
Grovel.
Sleep.
Sleep in a doghouse. Now, what do?
Buy her a gift.
You go to the rabbi's house and you speak to the rabbi. Who's the rabbi? And don't come tonight, for you. Okay, sorry. Okay, right? Okay. Who's the rabbi then? Adam. So they go to Adam. And the wife said, listen, he's a murderer. He killed the grandfather, killed the kid. I don't want nothing to do with him anymore.
It's involuntary manslaughter.
So Adam says, Adam says, right? Actually, it's interesting, right? So Adam says to them, let me read it to you. Like this. It says like this. Adam says to them,
Verse 25?
No, yeah, verse 25. He says, why are you trying to play God? Obviously, God wanted Cain and Tuval Cain dead. That's not your problem. You do your mitzvah, and he'll do his. He made a mistake, right? He killed. These two people obviously had to die, because that's the only way they would die. If they weren't supposed to die, they wouldn't have died. And so therefore, they had to die. So you worry about your business. You're a woman. Your job is to be married to your husband. You be married to your husband. Don't worry about his God in him will figure it out. Okay?
Adam said that to the wives.
Adam said to the wives.
What?
So what did Adam
Have a rabbi like that.
So what did Adam and Sila say? So they turned back to Adam and said, "Well, Adam, that is lovely what you're saying, but haven't you not been living with Eve for the last 130 years because you're upset about what happened in the Garden of Eden? Why don't you let her deal with her issue with God? And you're supposed to be married to her and to do right, be her husband."
That's a good answer.
Okay. So what did Adam answer back? So now let's read verse 25. Go ahead, Joyce.
Adam knew his wife again.
Adam knew his wife again. So Adam accepted their argument, right? And now he went back, and he started to have relations again with his wife.
Right, otherwise that would be totally random.
Right. So Adam knew his wife again. Go ahead.
And she bore a son, and she called his name Seth, because God has provided me with another child in the place of Abel, for Cain had killed him.
Can you imagine for 130 years she's carrying it around the pain, right? Right. First she messes up in the garden, and then one son kills the other son, right? Yeah. Right. And so now she has another child and named him Seth.
People having kids.
What?
They're very old people.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And as for Seth, to him also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh.
Man, Enosh.
Very close to Enoch.
Go ahead, right, very interesting. Hebrew, one is Chanoch, one is Enosh. In Hebrew, totally different. Go ahead.
Then to call in the name of Hashem became profane.
Oh, so what happened was, so at that point in time, right, so at that point in time, Adam goes back, has a child, starts having children again with Eve. Yeah. They have a child named Enosh, man, right? And he's called Enosh, man, right? Because that was when human beings started doing idolatry again. And that's when idolatry started up. Mm-hmm. Right at that point in time, right? That was when idolatry started again.
Is that what Enosh?
Enosh means man.
Enosh means
man. Enosh is a man. Anoshim means people.
Yes.
And we began worshiping people instead of God.
I see.
Right, and that's when idolatry started up again. That's when idolatry started. And how did idolatry start?
They've never known idolatry before.
No, they didn't know idolatry. How did idolatry start?
With the worship of
I mean, they all knew there's a God, right? Everyone knew God. So how did idolatry start?
The suns and the planets they would worship.
So what happened was, so man was praying to the suns and to the moon and the stars because they were considered God's angels. Right? They were closer to God, so they started praying to them that they should go ahead, they should help intercede to God on their behalf. And then their children saw them praying to these things and said, they said they're praying to these things rather than to God. So they must pray to them as gods. And so that's the next generation only saw them saying that they're praying to them, and that's how idolatry started. Okay, and this is where now we're through 4 chapters. We had the train wreck. We have 3 murders. Right, we have 3 murderers. Idolatry, and the world is kind of just cruising along. And see you all. Same bad time, same bad station. Before we stop, just a quick announcement again. The data raffle is happening, and we have tickets for sale: $100 for 1, 3 for $250, 7 for $500, 15 for $1,000, 40 for $2,500, 100 for $5,000, 225 for $10,000, and on and on. We more than 10,000 will make a special deal for you.
How do you know who the winner is?
I win. So everyone who buys a ticket is a winner, because the support that are programming and helping people to be able to learn Torah. And so everyone who gives any money that's their winner, right? They get to support to get the merit of Torah study. So everyone have a wonderful evening. We'll see you all same bat time, same bat station.
How